Hi everyone, welcome to this video all about Bhangra music. Hopefully by the end of this video you should know a little bit more about Bhangra, where it comes from, be able to identify the musical features and know what the dancing looks like.
So, where did Bhangra originally come from? Traditionally, it's a type of Indian folk music. So, it originated in the Punjab region of India and Pakistan. There is a Punjab region in both of these countries. And originally, Punjabi farmers would sing songs to entertain themselves whilst they were working the day away, and it helped them to pass the time. So, whereabouts are we looking at? In front of you, you can see a map of India. At the very top, you can see the Punjab region. There it is, and that's where traditional Bhangra music started. Okay, so a little bit more about traditional Bhangra music. The actual songs and the accompanying dances became part of their harvest celebrations. So a bit like we have harvest celebrations over this side of the world, that's where Bhangra originated. Over time, Bhangra music spread and became associated with other types of celebrations, weddings, New Year parties, and that's very much how they celebrate with Bhangra music nowadays.
Okay, so the type of instruments used in Bhangra music, there's obviously Indian instruments in there, and if you've watched the Indian classical music video before this video, you should have some understanding about those instruments. They also use the dol drum, which looks very similar to that. The dol drum is a double-headed drum. The two different heads have two different sounds, so you've got a head on this side of the drum and a head on that side of the drum. One of them is tuned to a high pitch and one of them is tuned to a low pitch, and the dol plays a repetitive rhythmic pattern. And now Bhangra music is often based around the same rhythmic pattern, and this is called the chal rhythm. So I'm going to show you a video now of somebody playing the chal rhythm on a dol drum, and see if you can recognise it, see if you've heard this rhythm before. So that's the chal rhythm on the dol drum.
So modern Bhangra that we would tend to hear nowadays is a combination of Indian classical music, which we looked at last week, and traditional Bhangra, and then Western dance music, so dance music from this side of the world. When different styles of music combine to form a new style of music, it's called a fusion. That word is extremely important for your listening exam, so you need to take note of it. Okay, so fusion means when a combination of styles go together to form a new style of music. So we're now going to look at the fusion that is Bhangra. So again, we've talked about that it is two different styles of music coming together. So from the Indian music that we looked at last week, we might hear in a Bhangra track Indian instruments such as the dol drum, which you've just seen, the sitar and the tabla that we saw last week. The chal rhythm, which is what you've just heard being played on the dol drum, the language of the vocal part, so we would normally tend to hear Punjabi vocals. Okay, so really, if you hear a Bhangra track, it would not be in English. Shouts of hoy, which you're about to see on the next video you watch, you will hear. Try and listen out for them. Shouts of hoy, which is hey. Okay, so the Western side, so we're saying that it's a fusion between Indian and Western music. So Western influences would be modern instruments. We could have drum kits, we could have bass guitars, electric instruments, keyboards. Bass lines, you're going to hear a really very famous particular bass line, but bass lines, obviously when we did club dance music, we looked at what a bass line is. So you would hear heavy repetitive bass lines in a Bhangra track, and there may be some English vocals to go with the Punjabi vocals as well. Most of the drum beats may be created electronically using music technology, which we'll have a look at a bit later on.
Okay, so modern Bhangra developed in the 1980s, and the music developed amongst the Asian communities in the UK. And it was around about that sort of time that the Asian communities migrated over into the other areas of the world, including the UK. And it was the combination of people from India and obviously in the UK getting together, and that's kind of how that fusion of music came to be. Remember, modern Bhangra is a fusion of traditional Indian music and modern dance music. It's a combination of different cultures as well as different musical styles. And Bhangra has recently developed to include other Western styles such as reggae, hip-hop and rhythm and blues. Okay, Bhangra artists, Alap were the first Bhangra group to become popular in London, and again this is back in the 1980s. They originally performed at temples and other functions in the Asian communities within the 1980s, and they helped take Bhangra music into a more mainstream music market. And we're going to have a little listen to one of their songs now. So you can probably hear the tabla drums in the background as well as the dole drum. And if we listen out, we're probably going to hear another shout of "Hoy" in a minute. There we go. And as you can hear, the singer isn't singing in English, he's singing in Punjabi. So that's an old Bhangra track from the 1980s by Alap.
So, looking at more modern Bhangra music now, musical features, time signature, which obviously we all know means beats in a bar. There would normally be, like in most club dance styles, 4 beats in a bar, which makes it easy for people to dance to. It would be based around the chal rhythm, so hopefully in a Bhangra track you will be able to hear that rhythm underneath the music. It has a faster tempo. Remember, disco was 120 beats per minute. Bhangra is slightly faster, generally around 140 to 180 beats per minute. It would have a verse and chorus structure, so similar to music that we listen to in various different styles, it would have verses and it would have choruses that keep coming back.
Okay, we're going to listen to a more modern Bhangra song now. I want you to try and listen out. Can you hear some of the Indian and Western elements that we've just talked about? So have a little listen. Can you identify, the Indian influences and the Western influences? So you probably heard then the song started off with the sitar, and then it was accompanied by some percussion on the dole drum, and as it got more into the song, the singer started singing in Punjabi, so all that is obviously Indian influence, and then there was a Western bass line which is added over the top, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the technique that was used to put that bass line in a moment when we come to talk about music technology. So where will modern Bhangra music be played or performed? Well, remember, traditional Bhangra was used during times of celebration, and modern Bhangra is no different. It's a very colourful style of music, so it'd be performed at parties, Indian weddings, films, especially Bollywood films. It'd be the soundtrack to a lot of Bollywood films. And if you can remember a film that came out a few years ago called Slumdog Millionaire, the song that was released for that, which was Jai Ho by the Pussycat Dolls, that has a lot of Bhangra influences within that song.
So, what does the dancing look like traditionally to Bhangra music? There are strong, energetic movements. They're supposed to represent originally the movements of farmers, because remember, back at the start of the presentation, we said that Bhangra was originally to celebrate the harvest festival. They would also normally be performed in groups. You can have solo dancing to Bhangra music, but generally, as you can see on the picture on the screen, it's generally danced in groups. There would be lots of dancing in circles, and there would also be lots of quite impressive acrobatic stunts as well.
Okay, so modern Bhangra dancing would normally, the music would normally be played in a nightclub, so obviously that's where a lot of the dancing would take place. And just as when we looked at Western dance music, when we looked at club dance, the dancing is a lot more freestyle. And a lot of the time you're dancing on your own as opposed to in groups. And if you can't remember that, if you look back at the work that we did when we looked at club dance music, the dancing is very similar to that, as in, like I just said, it's freestyle, dancing on your own, coming up with your own moves, as opposed to the traditional dance where you're dancing in a group. Okay, so music technology in Bhangra. Western dance music uses a lot of music technology, and modern Bhangra is directly influenced by Western dance music, as well as obviously traditional Indian music. So music technology plays a large role in the creation of modern Bhangra. And we're going to look at two techniques now, and the first technique is sampling. Okay, so samples are taken from other songs and then added to a Bhangra track using music technology. This doesn't just happen in Bhangra music, it happens in a lot of styles of music, but obviously we're just focusing on Bhangra now. Okay, most things can be sampled and included into a song. It can be a bass line, it can be vocals, it can be a certain riff, it could be a sound effect, it could even be a quote. We're going to have a little look at the bass line. If you remember from a few slides ago, when we played you a modern Bhangra song, I spoke about the bass line and said that it was a more modern Western bass line that had actually been sampled and added to that track. I'm going to play you that track again now. I want you to have a listen to it, and I want you to listen to when the bass line comes in. You might recognise the bass line from other dance songs from over here in the UK. Have another little listen. This is sampling. And there's the bass line. And as you can hear, that's an electronic bass line, and that's been sampled and added into this song. And for those of you who did recognise that bass line is actually from the Knight Rider theme tune, which is a really popular TV show from back in the 80s, but that's enough about that. Okay, and the other technique we're going to look at is drum machines. Now, a drum machine is used to create an electronic drum beat, and a drum machine allows the user to access many different types of drum sounds just through the touch of a button. Obviously, a lot of these drum sounds are electronic, and that's how you get a lot of dance drum beats. Rather than having a drummer sit behind a drum kit and play it, that wouldn't be the right sort of sound for a dance track. So, Bhangra music, as it's dance music and influenced by Western dance music, uses some electronic drum beats. The dole drum may also perform over the top of the electronic drum beat, so it wouldn't just be the drum machine, it'd be other drums that are on there as well. Right, okay, so what do I want you to do now? Did you understand all the features of this video? Are you unsure about anything? If you are unsure and you don't quite understand, you can watch this video as many times as you need to. It's always going to be here. You can use this video for revision because you might get tested during your theory lessons. You can note down any questions that you want to ask, and you can take to the lesson and you can ask either myself or Miss Hammersley. We'll see you all soon in lesson.